Today we're breaking down a glute biased Smith machine squat. In this exercise, we're not turning off our quads or our hamstrings. Those will definitely still be working. This variation is just set up to shift a little bit more of the work towards your glutes. The glutes have three main parts: the glute maximus, glute medius, and glute minimus. A glute biased Smith machine squat emphasizes the glute max, the largest muscle of the glutes, and it trains it in a lengthened position bias, meaning it's hardest at the bottom of the squat when the glutes are the most stretched. One common mistake I see and question that I get is, should you squeeze at the top? The bottom half of the movement is where you're really getting the most mechanical tension that drives hypertrophy for the glutes. The hips really are working the hardest when they're at that lengthened position for this exercise. And as you stand up, your joints, they stack, so the leverage on the glutes decreases. And basically, there's very little tension on the glutes in that top position. So squeezing your glutes at the top does not add any extra stimulus for muscle growth. If you are thinking about where to place your intent to feel the glutes or squeeze the glutes, it really should be in that bottom portion of the squat where the glutes are stretched, lengthened, and carrying the greatest load. And as you're squeezing and driving those hips forward to that top position. For setup, you want to set the barbell around collarbone height. Once that's set, always remember to do a few building warm-up sets. You want to place your hands just slightly wider than shoulder width. Step under the bar and let it rest across the traps, not your neck or your spine. No bone, just muscle. Place your feet slightly in front of the bar, about shoulder width apart, with your toes pointing straight forward to best align for loading the glute max. Then simply stand straight to unlock the bar. Take a deep breath in, brace your core, and think about stacking your ribcage over your pelvis before you start. If you're not sure how to stack your torso, check out our video on that because it really is just such a pillar, not only for squats, but for all of your compounds to keep your lower back protected and not feeling any engagement or pain. For execution on these, think of this not so much as a bending the knees movement, but rather focus on this as a backward and forward hip motion. The main cue is hips travel back first. You want to send your hips back while you keep your shins relatively vertical. Your knees will still bend and can still move forward towards the toes a little bit, but you really want to focus most of the motion to come from those hips traveling back and not the knees shooting far over the toes, as that does bias the quads more. And if your knees are traveling forward over your toes, you'll notice from the side view that you lose that vertical shin angle. So that's one way to check your form when watching your form review videos. Now, as your hips travel back, your chest will naturally lean forward to counterbalance and keep your center of mass over your midfoot. That forward trunk lean, combined with more hip flexion, hips moving back, and less knee travel forward, increases the demand on your glutes. That's how we create the glute bias. So we just want to make sure that we keep that torso stacked and the core engaged throughout the movement to avoid a curved spine and loading that lower back. For most people, the range of motion will be around a 90-degree bend at the knees for the bottom position, but it may be a little higher depending on your mobility and structure. At the bottom, the bar should still be roughly over your midfoot, not behind your heels or way in front of your toes. We really are looking for something close to that 90-degree angle to fully lengthen and maximize the glute load. Because that 90-degree angle is where the glutes are in that lengthened position, the moment arm is the highest and the tension is greatest there. This execution allows us to get a lot of glute stretch and a lot of glute work in that lengthened position with less quad stretch than a traditional squat where you let the knees travel more forward over the toes. From here, at that bottom position, drive your foot through the floor. Push through your whole foot, the big toe, pinky, and midfoot as you squeeze the glutes to drive the hips forward. As you stand back up to your starting position with your body stacked tall, you just reset your breath and repeat. Once you're done, you re-rack the barbell by rotating it forward and then just letting it fall into that locked pin. Now, if you're lifting heavy and there's even a small chance of failing, always set the safety bars. To set them up, do a bodyweight squat to the bottom and note the height of your shoulders. You want the safety bar to be set just under the height of your shoulder when you're at the bottom of your squat. That way, if you ever fail a rep, you can let the bar rest on the safeties, carefully crawl out from underneath, and then just unload the plates from the sides.